Vance. Yeah.
So let me just start here. I mean, those remarks from J.D. Vance are chilling over and over again, including saying there was a peaceful transfer of power. The vice president doesn't exactly have a technical impact in terms of certifying the election. But what are you, as you look at the potential here, what are you worried he could do?
Well, I think Vance is a barometer for the Republican Party. And you know me, I'm normally a voice of calm, and I'm here not as a voice of calm today. I think that what the vice president said, what Donald Trump has said, what members of the Republican Party have said leads me to think there is a coming massive crisis that's going to occur on November 5th with the election, in which even if Kamala Harris wins the election and wins those battleground states, the Trump team is going to declare victory with J.D. Vance at his side, and they will pressure courts, they will pressure state legislatures, they'll pressure state governors, and they'll pressure the United States Congress to throw out the popular vote and get this election through shenanigan.
Democrats have done this before. The left has done this before. I have done this before, where you vote for the third-party candidate thinking that it's going to send some message to Democrats, think it's going to change things.
Yeah, I did that with Ross Perot in 1992.
There you go.
Yeah,
I did it with Ralph Nader.
Right.
In 2000. Now, again, I'm not going to put myself out there as having taken too brave a stand. I was in a state that was going to go for Bush no matter what. I was actually following Molly Ivins' thing where she said, why not people in those states, all the Democrats in those states, vote for Ralph Nader, and so that the party can get 5% and then, be able to get federal matching funds and things like that. And she wasn't saying people in swing states, Democrats in swing states, should vote for Nader.
Right.
But but when that happened, it didn't solve anything. Bush got elected, we saw what happened. If you didn't vote for Clinton or you voted for Jill Stein, look what happened.
Yep.
It didn't make things better. You didn't make things better with your protest vote. And again, I get the urge to want to do it.
Sure,
I get
absolutely.
it. But it is masturbatory. I'm sorry, it's masturbatory because you're not helping anyone. You're just saying, I need to feel good.
Yeah. And I mean, I had friends because California obviously is a blue state.
Right.
I did have one friend of mine in 2016, vote for Jill Stein. And I'm like, really? You just threw your vote away. Granted, it's California. It didn't really matter here. Mm-hmm. It should, with 53 now electoral votes. It should matter what California thinks. But yeah, I mean, it's just like Carlos Alazraqui says all the time. It's a binary choice.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't be Paul Ryan and, write in George Washington. You can't, Mickey Mouse or what. You can't do that.
No.
Yeah.
You either vote for Harris or you'd vote for Trump. Those are your choices, unfortunately. We are not Australia. We're not other countries that have a better way of doing it because we were one of the first to do it. So we
refuse to change how we do it for some stupid reason. And the other thing is that there are so many things I disagree with Harris on. I disagree with her whole, I'm going to put together a bipartisan commission of people in the Republican and Democratic Party to advise me. No,
I'm with you on that.
Get off. Screw the Republicans. I don't care that there's a couple of good ones, which means that they don't support overthrowing the government. That's what makes someone a good Republican, not if they're, crazy on every other issue.
No, you're right. I don't want an Adam Kinzinger or a Liz Cheney in her cabinet. I just don't. I don't. Because they will sting her like the scorpions that they are.
And this allows Trump to say, "Oh, I'm going to have Democrats in my cabinet," and he means RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard,
right? Exactly,
who aren't actually Democrats anymore, but he'll pretend.
Very, very true. You said you also tweeted out because you're back on the Twitter.
I am.
Yes.
1 year to the day. 1 year to the day. They let me back on.
They did. This is my favorite. A student just told you that she went to a party with a, quote, retro theme, the 2000s, and you crumbled into a pile of dust.
Oh,
I am with you on that.
Oh.
Yeah. I tried to figure out what a 2000 theme.
What is that?
What is it?
The best I could come up with was Black Eyed Peas. Music. I mean,
Okay, sure.
Bush Gore stuff? I mean, what are we talking about here?
I have no idea. But then again, I thought, well, in the 80s, we would have parties where it was like dress like a hippie.
Yeah, that's
And it
true.
was just 20 years earlier.
That was.
That's frightening.
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't it? Don't you just feel like, you're one of those old films where, they show the aging just in clip after clip
Yep.
of how you just deteriorating.
yes.
Yeah, I don't have a portrait aging for me.
No, no, no. It's just curling into a wrinkled ball.
Yeah.
Well, we actually, because Lonnie has yet to age. So
Right,
a
that is
friend of
true.
mine, called me up. He goes, "Does he have a
It's pretty
painting?"
remarkable. Yeah.
He goes, "Does he have?" I said, "Yeah, we just call him Dorian now.
Uh-huh.
We
Yeah.
just call him Dorian.
Right.
The painting's up there." You also said the Harris campaign needs to stop with the Trump is evil and senile, and go back to the good. To the good. Trump is an effing weirdo. Let's laugh at him. I am with you on that.
Yeah. Because that was what got the enthusiasm going, was the mocking.
Yes.
You get out there and you make people laugh at him and they feel good about it. And it's like, oh my God, he's not all powerful.
Right.
We laugh at him. I mean, we can't once he gets elected, because I'm sure there'll be camps just for people who laugh at him. But it's like that worked. And Tim Walz is really good at it.
He's
Tim
very
Walz
good.
is still throwing down his remarks about, the Bible being made in China.
And him not even looking in the book because he would never.
He must have been inside because, he's never actually opened the Bible where it says that.
Well, you also wrote that one shock is that anyone still supports Donald, and I am with you on that one. And they apparently didn't understand how stupid a big percentage of we are. You said good thing they wear red caps to identify themselves. I agree. At least we can see them out in the wild.
Yes, they have their uniforms on. They do have that.
I actually saw a MAGA in the wild in the Valley on Sepulveda and Ventura Boulevard last weekend. I was like, wow. And selling stuff. And I was like, ooh, it's a MAGA in the wild in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's odd to see.
It happens.
It happens. But I was talking to a friend of mine from Alabama the other day, and he said in 2020, because he's a blue guy in a completely red part of the state, and he said this year he's not seeing as many Trump signs and not as many red hats around.
Yeah.
And it's starting to go less and less and less. I think they're embarrassed to either support him, which is also good.
Yeah.
They might still vote for him, but they're embarrassed about it at this point, which is good. Shame is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It can change you.
I want it to be like a dunce cap that they're wearing when they're walking around. I mean, because a lot of us see it as that, like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to buy anything from you.
Right.
I don't, you and I have nothing to talk about.
No, I agree, and it just is. It's heartening to. I got an email also from a listener here from Alabama saying the same thing, that they're not seeing the signs like they did 8 and 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. Anecdotal, but it's still
I heard
good.
a lot of that from people who went to our Arizona show.
Mm-hmm.
People who live in the rural parts of Arizona. They were like, it's nothing like it was,
4 years ago.
Yeah, it's so many fewer Trump signs and so many more
Harris
Wall
Walls
signs. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope they're not going underground.
I mean,
And
they
then
still can.
going up on election day. But I'm going to Louisiana on Thursday, so for my 40th high school reunion. Speaking of crumbling into a pile of
I went to mine last summer, so I'm with you on that.
and
You don't look a day over 30, though.
thank you, I appreciate it. You mean 30th reunion? So I'll report back about what it's like there, because that's as red as it gets where I'm going.
Do you go to New Orleans or out?
No, my family's in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, that's
Clay Higgins is their representative.
Yes, yeah.
sorry to hear that.
That's the Cajun belt.
No. I mean, none of my they all think he's just ridiculous, absurd.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
stooge.
That's
Yeah,
good.
no.
There are always blue people in red areas.
Always.
There are.
Yeah.
There's a good contingent of blue people, because there's also a big university there.
Yeah.
And but the area itself is hyper Catholic and hyper conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you also, with Trump was in Aurora, Colorado. I used to live in Denver, so I know Aurora very well because I have friends that live there. And he said, the enemy is from within. All the scum that we have to deal with that hate our country, that's a bigger enemy than China and Russia. And you wrote, open-hearted columnists do go on about how I have to understand people who vote for this savagery. Do go on about their humanity. You're so interesting.
Yeah. I need to reach out and listen to you. I need to listen to you while you're sitting there applauding, Trump saying things like that. Trump saying, "Oh, they're coming from the Congo." And that's his thing now, by the way, the Congo.
What is
they're coming here from we've let in a few more refugees, and
Right.
yeah, and it's something like a couple of and like 2,000 people from the Congo are the Democratic nation of Congo. And they've let it, and that Border Patrol has caught 2,000 people undocumented from the Congo. And
It's hard to get there.
That all of a sudden is a migrant crisis. That oh, let them into your house, let them live with you, and they'll kill you. And it's like, no. So the people that are applauding that and are egging him on and love that, no, I don't need to. I understand you perfectly well. Your clapping shows me everything I need to know. Put on your red hat and get the F out of my face.
There's no denying it. The vibes are really good right now. But vibes alone won't save our democracy. We need votes. At the Grassroots Democrats HQ, we know what it takes to win elections. Knocking doors, making calls, sending texts, and writing postcards. If we're going to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and give them the Democratic Congress to pass their agenda, then we need to roll up our sleeves and talk to a record number of voters between now and November 5th. But let's be clear, we can't do it without you. So, are you ready to work? This is a fight for freedom and our future, and everything is at stake. Don't wake up on November 6th wishing you had done more. Join us. Go to grassrootsdems.org today to sign up to volunteer, and let's go win this thing.